Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to another episode in our brand new series of approaching 40 and how we can approach 40 as a Muslimah. And today, subhanAllah, I wanted to talk specifically about the physical changes that you might go through when you reach this age and how these can impact you and what you should know about them. So first of all, subhanAllah, when you come around this age, not overnight, but gradually, you will start to feel physical changes in your body. First of all, you'll go through hormonal changes. It's natural as a woman. And, you feel menopause starting to begin. So this is a transitional phase before menopause, which often starts around this age. Hormone levels, especially estrogen and progesterone, will start fluctuating, subhanAllah. So you might get irregular sort of menstrual cycles and hot flashes and night sweats, sleep disturbances. And this is all super important. Your metabolism slows down. You might start getting weight gain. Obviously, this isn't the same for everybody, but you'll experience some or all of these symptoms at different points. And your skin and hair will change because the collagen production decreases. You might have thinner skin. You might start to notice those wrinkles, subhanAllah, and get drier skin. Your bone density begins to drop as well, actually. And subhanAllah, it's really important then to think about your calcium, vitamin D, intake, and what kind of exercises you're doing to look after yourself. So the other thing that happens obviously is your reproductive system changes and your sleep and energy levels can change, and you can actually become more tired and exhausted or snappy, irrational. You might have anxiety. I've known some people have this as well, subhanAllah. And the reason why I feel like this topic is important, because as women, even in advanced countries like we are in the United Kingdom, it's known that this is a topic that isn't talked about. And sometimes women are afraid and they get scared because they go through these changes and they think, what is happening to me? Sometimes husbands of these women will say, it's like I'm married to another person all of a sudden, because nobody explains it to you that you're going to go through these changes. They're going to affect you in different ways. They're going to have an impact on your thinking, on your body, and how you're feeling, which means it's going to affect how you're then acting out, subhanAllah. And if you educate yourself, at least you'll have that awareness of when the time comes as to, how you can then behave or how you can respond to these changes, I guess is the better way of saying it, in terms of really looking after yourself and being aware and prepared that these things are going to happen to you, subhanAllah. It's probably more common that nowadays that you would prepare a teenage girl, for example, for the changes that she's going to be going through, like menstruation. But how many times do you hear people preparing ladies for these particular changes that they're going to go through, when they go through the menopause, etc. So subhanAllah, be really aware that these changes are going to happen, and then in turn they'll affect things like your ibadah, they will affect things like your parenting, they'll affect things like your work. Of course they will, if you're getting hot flushes throughout the day, for example. And that's why it's important to look after yourself and your body and be in tune with these changes. Something I've personally done in the community back in November is we received a grant, alhamdulillah, and we've been doing sport exercises, including specific female-friendly exercises for ladies. And alhamdulillah, the ladies who have attended all of them regularly are feeling much more energized and much more stronger and much more healthier. So I'd really advise, if at this age, if you haven't already thought about these things in terms of yourself, think about the fact that your body is an amana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and don't wait until it's too late and you start getting affected by illnesses and ailments related to age specifically. Try and think about these things beforehand and think that, subhanAllah, what can I do myself to be prepared for these changes, in terms of, do I need to be taking vitamin tablets? Do I need to be changing my diet? Or think about the fact that should I be doing more exercise and looking after my health? And it could be, subhanAllah, that you're now in a position where it could be your children are grown up and you have a little bit more time to be doing this. So if you can, I would really encourage you to do this. So let's think about things like your sleep, for example. Now, sleep can become lighter or interrupted due to hormonal changes. You might feel more tired during the day due to this lack of sleep. So then think about where possibly can you catch up on your sleep or reduce this tiredness. So it might be that you need to reduce your workload, subhanAllah. And I know this is easier said than done, but it's things worth thinking about in terms of your workload or the work that you're doing at home, or even the type and quantity of the ibadah that you're doing. So maybe you can sleep at a different time and wake up and use that time to do ibadah, whatever that looks like for you. It'll be different for different people, but it's just something to bear thinking about, because that's another really big factor. Also food, start thinking about energy foods. Maybe you're one of those really good, alhamdulillah, keeping on top of it people that already eat lots of energy foods. But I find as Muslimahs that often we neglect this. We either go for fast food options or sacrifice our own eating because we're focusing on feeding the children. So now hopefully, inshallah, children might be older, or not need you as much or in the same way as before. Therefore you can't afford to think about your own food intake, because this will affect your energy levels, subhanallah. So in the same way you might have advised your children in their younger years, take this advice yourself and think about your own health in terms of your sleep patterns, in terms of your eating patterns, and just be prepared that these changes will come, subhanallah. And do you know what, another thing that people often look is that if it's going to be affecting you in such a big way, which it is, have the conversation with your spouse that this is going to happen. Don't be embarrassed, because this is again a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is natural. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed for this to happen, subhanallah. So again, be patient, and in your patience, inshallah, there will be reward. To speak to your spouse if you need to and say, these are the changes I'm going to be going through, and it's going to be different, or it's going to be a little bit difficult, or be a bit more patient with me, or how can they accommodate and help you, inshallah. Most of the time, inshallah, they'll be happy to do this, but they'll be clueless unless you spell it out to them, or unless you tell them how you want it to be, inshallah, or what they can do to make it a little bit easier for you, inshallah. So I hope these tips have been useful for you. Until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.